Hi, welcome back to my channel. We're just going to get right into it. It's about customer service. I happened to see a video the other day. I saw two videos where this one of them was a YouTuber and the other one was of a woman who had a poor customer service experience. And having been on both sides of the desk, the counter, I know that sometimes, and this is on both ends, we're not aware of how we come across. Um, there was a time when, and I'm going to speak for myself and then go out to what I've seen. I was the customer and I was going through a really hard time um, with one of my children. And I mean, that particular child was having a total meltdown. And I became overheated. It was a hot day. It was frustrating, whatever. And I had needed to speak to someone about a return. The line wasn't really that long, but when it was my turn, the salesperson acted as though I had proof that I purchased the item, but the person acted as though my proof was not valid. And yeah, it was not a good scene. So by the time the manager came out, the issue was resolved. But by the time the manager came out, that particular person had she had painted me as this hysterical maniac that was demanding a refund. And I've seen some of those people who, and actually, again, I have been on the other end of the receiving end of that. But my, in retrospect, um, I don't know um, that I could have not taken this particular child with me um, because I don't think I had anyone to watch the child while my child while I was in the store. So I took that chance. But I think on the end of the customer service person, they could have been a bit more understanding. They saw my child having a meltdown, and instead of expediting and calmly, saying things like, oh my goodness, I understand, I can't do this process, but I'll be happy to get a manager that can handle it for you. So, I see you probably want to go, get out of here, get this over with as soon as possible. But that customer service person began to berate me and, again, make me feel as though I was in there asking for something that it wasn't valid. And again, like I said, I had the proof that I had purchased that item and wanted a refund for whatever the reason was at the time. But yeah, the person was very rude and they didn't see that. Instead of accepting how they were behaving and apologizing, listening and apologizing and showing empathy and getting resolution, they decided to take it upon themselves and act like we were on World Star and try to make an even bigger scene that was already um, very distressing to my child and me. Um, and then that was one situation. Again, that was resolved calmly after the manager came out. But there was a time when I was perceived as being rude, and there was an instance where um, a customer came in and something had happened. There was a huge mob of people, a lot of people, and the customer did something. I said, "Oh my goodness, oh, what happened here?" And the person said, "Oh no, it wasn't me." And I said, "Oh, okay, maybe it was the person before." And so okay, I'll just clean up. Don't worry about it. And then someone came behind that person. Oh, well, when are you gonna have this? And they were standing there when they saw what had happened and what had transpired. And again, it was mobbed, it was crowded, I was by myself. And they said, "Oh, well, how long is it going to take to get this thing done? I can't stand here all day." And I says to the person, "I'm not sure. It might take me a few minutes because I'm by myself. I have to clean this up, and then I have to go way in the bag and get it. And if it's not there, then I have to go back across to another area and retrieve it, and then bring it all the way back to the back again, and prepare it to bring out." So next thing I know, I was told that I was rude to this person. Oh no, it wasn't even that person. First of all, it wasn't the first person, and allegedly it wasn't the second person. It was a third party person who claimed that I was rude to the first person. And I had already, the first person that was involved in the incident where something occurred based off of what someone else had done prior to them approaching. Um, we had talk because they felt bad. They thought, "Oh, I didn't do it." They felt like someone was saying they did it, and I never said that. I just wanted to know what happened because by the time I saw what had happened, that person was there with that particular um, dealing with that issue. And so I asked, well, why would someone not? And I talked to the first person, everything was fine. And I told the second person what I told them. Why would a third person come along and say I said something rude to the first person? Why wouldn't the first person say? And I thought about that because when I was being told what I allegedly said, um, the person that was telling me was like, "Yeah, they said you said it. This, yeah, da 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 da," and they're doing all like this and all the movements and all like that. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, well, first of all, I don't talk like that. And second of all, why are you doing all this with what's all? I don't do all of this with my. What are you talking about? Well, that's what they said. Okay, so it wasn't the first person, and it wasn't the second person that asked, even though that second person was very rude to me, demanding to know when something was going to be replenished when they should have clearly saw the environment around and what had transpired, but evidently not. So people's perceptions and the way some management handle people's perceptions. We could say perception is reality, but reality needs to be based on fact as well. When it comes to issues of people's reality, you can have one incident happen, and there could be 10 people around, and you can get 10 different stories. Everyone's perception is their reality. Okay, what is the fact? What was the fact? What were the facts? And so my advice on the customer service deal, when you have people, and this is I'll start with the customer base first. When you have customers come in, when you this is me as being a customer talking to another customer. When you go into an establishment and you're already upset or there's something on your mind, take a few deep breaths and realize that everybody's human. Realize people are going to have a bad day. And try not to be so quick. Now, unless it can be proven that um, employee was very rude or negative towards you. And what I mean by proven, I mean like threw something or chucked something across the table or um, made reference to something and I don't know. I'm just saying some kind of blatant proof. Then realize that maybe if they said something negative, like I'll get to you in a minute. Don't try if and I can understand why that would upset you, you know, especially you're coming in there and you already have something on your mind. So, you know, you're like, oh, how dare they talk to me like that? Um, try to talk ask them, you know, wait, what was that all about? Just ask them. What was that all about? Don't be so quick to cut it off and ask for management if you know that employee because I've done this as a customer. I have gone in places and the person was rude. My perception of what was rude. And I've actually asked them, are you okay? Because how you just responded to me was not okay. And I would get a response. Some I got apologies for, and some said, "Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't mean that." But it started a dialogue, not an argument, but a dialogue. And or it shouldn't have started an argument. Now there were some that were very belligerent, and I didn't say that to you. Da, 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 da. And one even did it in front of her boss, and I don't know if she's still working there, but she did it in front of her boss. I don't know what's going on with that. But ask first, are they okay? Especially when you know you're having a bad day, because like I said, everybody can have a bad day. And I'm saying try this. There's going to be some instances where you're so flustered and outdone with yourself that I mean, just over the whole day, and you just want to go in there and get something. You don't want one smart word said to you, but try to check yourself before you go into the back and forth with someone at the front desk or someone at the counter or whatever the case, wherever you may be. Try to check yourself, even over the phone. You know, if you're constantly calling for customer service and the person is repeating constantly what you said, they're not helping you. They just keep repeating over and over what you said. That can be frustrating. Or they connect you with numbers that are either constantly going to voicemail or an automated server that's not quite picking up what you're saying. Um, keep calling back. Get online and see if there's an email. Write something to the company or whatever, but try to check yourself first. And of course, try not to argue with the person at the desk. If it escalates, ask them, and if they continue to be rude, then you get a manager. You know, but with that being said, on the flip side, this is talking to employees, and this is my tip for employees and managers. If you have a good worker and you know they're a good worker, and again, keep in mind everybody can have a bad day. If someone comes to you and says this person was rude to me, you listen, you know, you do all the processes, okay? Um, with listening, empathize, apologize, and you know, resolve all that good stuff. And let them know, you know, I will talk to this employee, you know. But don't ever, for the bosses, don't ever agree. In other words, don't tell the customer, well, we're going to do something about Sally because, yeah, she's been doing this all the time. Don't do that. There's no need to do that. They don't need to know. The customer doesn't need to know all the dirty laundry that's occurring in the background. They don't need to know that. Don't humiliate Sally by bringing Sally out there. Did you say this to Mrs. So and so or Mrs. So? Did you just say? There's no need for that either. Just let the customer know. Okay, you know, after you've listened again and apologize and advise. Um, and let them know you're going to take care of it. Take their name and number down, and let them know, you know, I'm here for you. Next time you come to the store, you know, if you need anything, you know, when have any further questions about our merchandise, You know, we want to make sure you're comfortable, when you come in to shop with us or to see us or to talk with us, wherever you may be. And that's really all you have to say. Just reassure the customer that you've listened, you've heard their concerns, and you're doing your best to take care of their concerns if it's within reason. But shaming the employee and letting the customer guess in on whatever is going on in the back. Oh, she's always late, or oh, she's always smart mouthing everybody. You don't have to do all that. That's none of their concern. Besides, they're only concerned about themselves. Anyway, and as far as the employees, if you're listening, try to, if someone's coming off as rude, if they're accusing you of not, oh, I want this refund, and they say it's a place, they need a receipt. They need a receipt. This company policies, your store's policy. They have to have a receipt, or they get a store credit if they don't have a receipt. If they're arguing, I don't want a store credit, I want a receipt. I want a refund. I don't want a store credit, I want the refund. I don't have a receipt. I just want my refund. If you know it's against policy, if you've been told it's against policy, and if there's a supervisor or manager there, immediately let the customer or guest know. Um, I am not authorized to do this. Um, I will have to speak to my manager about this, and then they can come and speak with you about the situation. But don't promise and say, oh, my manager will give you a refund. Now, the customer might say to the manager, you said you were going to give me a refund. But if that happens again, just be mindful that, perceptions and interpretations can vary. So stop it automatically, immediately, and just let them know you'll bring it to your manager's attention and let it go. It's let your manager handle it. So for customers, check yourself. Make sure you're not so quick to jump in, ask for a manager as soon as your perception of rude comes across the counter to you or the desk or whatever it may be. Try, ask. Is there something wrong? Did I miss something? Or are you okay? And then if you get negative feedback, then ask for someone in someone of a higher position. And then for the bosses, again, remember everybody has a right to their opinion. Everybody has a bad day. Don't embarrass the employee in front of the guest or the customer. There's no need for that. Just listen, apologize, empathize, offer resolution. You know, say you're sorry, and let them know that you will talk to that employee about what happened. Take their name and number, reassure them that you you want them to visit your store, as long as that customer is not flipping out and throwing the trash in your store, let or office or whatever. Just let them know, you want them to come back and you understand, but you will talk to that employee about what happened. Don't be, like I said, don't embarrass the employee in front of the customer or guest. Don't go back there with, blazing, at the employee. They said this. Um, because again, it could be one incident. You could have 10 people around and get 10 different stories about what happened. So be mindful of that. And for employees, don't go back and forth. As soon as someone disallows um, what you've told them about store policy or company policy or anything like that, as soon as they disallow it, or your explanation of why something appears to be the way it is, whether you're moving slow or you're answering the phone or you whatever the case may be, if you offer an explanation when they get upset and they don't accept it, that's time for you to let them know, apologize. I am so sorry. Let me get my manager to help you, and leave it at that. Don't offer refunds. Don't do any of that if it's against store policy. And don't say, "Oh, my manager's going to give you a refund." Don't do that either. So basically, for everyone, I would hope to that you would realize that everybody can have a bad day. Anyone can have a bad day, you included. And if nothing is ever brought to someone's attention, sometimes people don't know how they're coming across to someone else. Sometimes it can be totally unintentional. I know, like I said, I've been on all sides of it. So, in retrospect, most of it was misconstrued perceptions based on that person's emotional state at the time. Um, if someone's hungry, they're starving, and you're taking too long, or they don't want to hear it's going to take a certain amount of time to replenish something, or have something coming back in stock, or if you have a boss who is on a power trip and suddenly, oh, they're going to prove they're the big cheese that day, and they are going to just tear you down because it helps boost their ego. Um, that's not a good thing, and that's something that a lot of people need to realize, that it's not helping. At the end of the day, it is really not helping to degrade others so that you can come across as the big person. You can come across as more authoritative than someone else. Um, but again, it's also really important to, and I say this in several of my videos, to look inward. Check yourself. Maybe, maybe it just might be that your perception is not based on fact, and it's just that, purely your perception. And also, um, remember what I've said about, you can have one incident, 10 people witness the same incident, and you get 10 different perceptions.